Namaste. I bow to the divinity in you. Welcome to your Thursday, October 28th yoga practice. Let's find our comfortable seat and arrive with a long spine, soft shoulders, relaxed neck. Give yourself a few deep breaths here. You made it. Sometimes this is the most challenging part, is just showing up. You might close your eyes here, allowing yourself to better check in with what's going on in your world. Maybe just noticing the quality of your breath. Who you are tomorrow begins with what you do today. Tim Fargo. Who you are tomorrow begins with what you do today. If you'd like to chant Om to drop into your practice, let's draw our hands together in front of our heart. Inhale deeply to create this vibration. Release your hands to your legs. Let's draw a few big circles, slowly drawing the heart forwards and then backwards in space. And as you breathe, notice, if you can, the parts of your body connected to the earth and how the weight shifts. I always imagine like a coin that you've spun, how before it falls flat, it starts to roll around the very edges and switch directions. So we can tap into the awareness of our pelvic bowl being a circular-ish shape and that we're rolling around the edges of that bowl right now. As you're ready, come back to neutral. Hands on thighs. Notice which leg is crossed in front and then guide your thighs together, maybe catching a little balance here. You're welcome to stay just as you are in a little ball, balancing. Maybe today you play with bringing the soles of your feet together, catch a little balance in Baddha Konasana. Wherever you've gone, let's see if we can lengthen our spine with the next breath. And then recross your legs, opposite leg in front. Hands back to knees, we'll draw those slow circles, a few each direction, noticing if this feels different than the first round. And switch directions when you're ready. You might notice here if your mind is off somewhere in the past or future, or if you're able to stay anchored to this experience right now. That's the practice, is continuously drawing our awareness back to this moment, this truth. Return to an easy seat, and once again we'll bring the soles of our feet together. Maybe here you use blocks under your thighs, especially if your legs are more lifted, knees angled at the sky. Putting blocks under your thighs might be a really nice support. Sometimes I'm surprised by how comforting it is to have that support. So with or without blocks, see if you can settle in, again, dropping your awareness to the parts of you connected to the ground. And when I say that, notice which parts kind of jump up first. If it was your feet, maybe your ankles, Maybe it was your seat. Spread your awareness around your whole foundation. Maybe you can sit a little taller here. Maybe there's space to invite softening into your shoulders and jaws. A few more breaths in Baddha Konasana. See if you can soften through your hips as well. In this shape, we can picture ourselves perhaps like mountains. We have a firm foundation, a large foundation. And from that foundation, we rise up, steady, deeply grounded and connected. As you're ready, slowly extend your right leg out wide, straightening that leg. Your left foot can stay away from your groin area, or you can draw it in, whatever feels good to your knee, basically. Engage your right leg, toes towards the sky, toes and knees in alignment, muscles hug the bones. Inhale, see if you can lift your torso up out of your hips. It might help to reach your arms up overhead. Keep your arms lifted as you ground down through your hips. Another big breath, reach up. And exhale, fold over to the right side. Keep your arms lifted for a moment, noticing your core muscles working, supporting you. You're strong. One more breath. And when you're ready, float your right hand to your right leg. Left arm stays lifted. We can think of our shoulders here like seesaws. So our bottom shoulder is towards the ground. Our top shoulder is lifted towards the sky because that arm is in flexion. Notice where you're feeling sensation. If your mind did not go to your hips, then from wherever you feel sensation, see if you can trace the awareness down to your foundation. For the next breath or two, you might explore opening your heart, spiraling your spine a bit to the sky, or maybe going the opposite direction, rounding your heart towards the earth. Maybe you try both. And sit up tall, guide your right leg back to center, and send your left leg long. Engage your left leg. Press through your heel. Your toes and knee are pointed to the sky and a little bit back behind you. Lift your torso up out of your hips. As we inhale, we can reach to the sky. Stay for a breath. Feel the anchoring, sinking through the low back and spine. Inhale again for length. And when you exhale, hinge over to your left. Breathe here. And checking in, you might notice if you're holding tension anywhere in the body that's not really helping this shape exist. Maybe you can let that tension go, or simply bringing your awareness to it is a success as well. For the next breath or two, maybe you explore rotating your heart towards the sky or towards the earth. Who you are tomorrow begins with what you do today. I know we are a busy group of yogis, and I am constantly impressed with the showing up that occurs. On an inhale, sit yourself up tall. Let's take both legs out wide. Both legs actively engaged. I encourage blocks in front of you if you like to use tools. That will prevent us from being taken over by our egos and trying to go too far, perhaps. So engage your legs. Spread your toes wide. That kind of alerts us to the energy in our feet, which requires it to go all the way down our legs. So we're actively engaged, sit tall, and maybe you stay just like this. Legs wide, slight lean forward. This is more than enough. This is a lot. Maybe it's available to you with a long spine to start to lean forwards. And this is where it can be really nice, again, to support yourself. So resting your head on your hands, maybe resting your head on your arms or the block. 3 to 5 slow breaths here. Notice if your legs are starting to rotate and toes are starting to point forwards. See if you can actively engage and keep the toes towards the sky, even imagining that the toes and the knees are pointing to the sky behind you. So keeping some external rotation, another slow breath. Moving slowly, we'll release this posture, blocks back towards the top of your mat. Guide your legs together and make your way into tabletop. Arriving in tabletop, let's draw some big circles. As you do this, keep your attention on your foundation. So how are your hands feeling here? I go through periods of time where my wrists just can't take it, and so coming to soft knuckles can be helpful. Switching directions. Now shift your awareness to your hips. You can be amazed at how we're able to take our joints in these circles. Hips and shoulders, such range of motion. Plant your hands firmly under your shoulders or maybe on blocks as we prepare for hanging cobra. Inhale deeply. Exhale, sink your hips as your feet float off of the earth. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. You can always back out as needed. Wherever you've gone, let's see if we can lengthen our low back, sinking our hips to the earth, pulling the heart forward. The arms are practically hugging onto your side body. See if you can drop your shoulders away from your ears as you lift your crown towards the sky. Bring your awareness to your low abdominal muscles and to the front of your hips. One more breath like this. Exhale, release your feet to the earth. Come to stand on your knees. Reach up, breathe deeply. Exhale, twist to your left. Open your arms out wide if that feels good. Maybe draw some circles with your wrists here. Inhale to center. Exhale, twist to your right. Open your arms if that feels good. Draw circles if you like that movement. Maybe you take the circles the opposite direction. Breathe deeply, return to neutral. Exhale, walk your hands back to the mat. Tuck your toes. On an inhale, cow, drop your belly, shoulder blades hug towards each other. On an exhale, cat. Stay in cat for a breath, really arching your spine towards the sky. Try to draw your navel all the way up to the ceiling. Breathe deeply, and when you come to an exhale, slowly float your knees off of the earth and send yourself into that triangle shape we call downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take any movement your body likes. We'll be here for about 5 breaths. As you're ready, on an inhale, send your right heel to the sky, three-legged dog. Bend your right knee, lift it to the sky, stack your right hip over the left, so open your hip up. One more breath. Try to touch your left shoulder with your right toes. And neutralize your hips and your right leg long. Inhale, look forwards. Exhale, step or swing the right foot to the right thumb, whatever it takes to get there. Pause for a moment in this high runner's lunge. After a breath or two, pivot your left heel down. Heel to heel or heel to arch alignment, whichever works for you. Be sure that the right knee is over the right ankle. And as you're ready, inhale, rise up, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. One of my all-time favorite postures because there's so much alignment we can check for ourselves. Lots of engagement in your back leg. You're actively pressing into the pinky side edge of your left foot. Bending deeply into the right knee, we can see the right big toes in front of or on the inside of the right knee. When we glance down, we can see that our shoulders are over our hips. We can lift our crown, ears over shoulders, and then rotate our head only, looking over our front fingertips. Notice if the back shoulder tries to come along to the party. Keep drawing the back shoulder back in space, fingertips reaching away from each other. One more breath here. On an inhale, straighten your right leg, flip your right palm to the sky, reverse triangle. Move slowly, stay really anchored into your foundation. Press into the four corners of both feet. For the next breath or two, see if you can really tap into the awareness of the stretching connective tissue over your right front hip. Pressing into your right big toe might help you feel that as you reach your right fingertips to the sky. One more breath. With an exhale, bend your right knee. Clasp your hands behind your back. Let's put the left thumb on top. Anchor your knuckles down. Inhale. Exhale, hinge forward, humble warrior. Knuckles can lift towards the sky. If that's too much for your shoulders, you can release your hands. Maybe do like a flying warrior. Try to bring your right shoulder towards your right knee. Imagine everything hugging into the midline. Imagine squeezing your legs together. One more breath like this. And as you exhale, release your hands to the earth. Pivot onto your left toes. We're back in our high runner's lunge. Inhale. Exhale, step yourself back to downward facing dog. If you'd like to take a little break here, find child's pose. 3 to 5 breaths wherever you've gone. If you took child's pose, let's find our way back to downward facing dog. Just for fun, let's lower down to our forearms and elbows. Dolphin pose for just a moment, melting your heart back towards your thighs, maybe walking your feet a little closer. Inhale. Exhale. Push the ground away. One more breath. Slowly make your way back onto your hands. Triangle shape, downward facing dog. On an inhale, lift your left heel to the sky, three-legged dog. Bend your left knee. Lift the knee towards the sky and then stack the left hip over the right. So we're in like an open left hip. The left toes are reaching towards the right shoulder. One more breath. Neutralize your hips, left heel, left toes to the sky. Look forward, inhale. Exhale, step or swing the left foot to the top of the mat. Pause in high runner's lunge, big breath. We're checking our alignment. Left knee is over left ankle. Lots of energy into the right leg. And when you're ready, pivot, bringing your right heel to the earth. Cartwheel your hands up. Virabhadrasana 2. Again, we settle in, checking our alignment cues, feeling the pinky side edge of the right foot, the back foot. And then checking in that we can feel the four corners of both feet. Glancing down, we can see the left big toe inside of the left knee. Shoulders over hips, ears over shoulders, crown to the sky, fingertips away from each other, gaze over the front fingertips. Breathe. Breathing deeply, straighten your left leg, left palm to the sky, reverse triangle. A few breaths here. Can you hone in on the stretch of the connective tissue around the left hip flexor? Really pressing into your left big toe root and reaching your left hand up overhead can help you find that stretch right in the middle. And breathing deeply, bend your left knee. Warrior two, clasp your hands behind your back, right thumb on top, knuckles anchored down as we inhale, and exhale, hinge over the left leg, humble warrior. Keep the connection to the pinky side edge of your back foot. Breathe deeply. Hang with it for 2 more breaths. And as you're ready, release your hands to the earth, pivot onto your right toes, high runner's lunge. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, step back to downward facing dog. Inhale forward into plank pose. Now, Vashisthasana, side plank. Maybe here you drop your right knee to the earth as we pivot into our side plank options. Reaching your left hand to the sky. Maybe it's available to you that you send your right leg long and you stack your feet. Ankles flexed, hips lifting. And wherever you've gone, maybe you bend your top leg, finding a tree variation in Vashisthasana. Making sure that if you've done this and your right leg is long, that you're not putting the foot on the knee joint. One more breath, exploring wherever you've gone. And releasing, returning to plank. Drop your knees, send your hips back. Find Balasana, child's pose. And here you might give your wrists some love. Breathing. Notice where the mind has gone as we've invited in a physically challenging and demanding posture. And you know we've got to do the other side. So is there anticipation, dread, excitement? Just noticing. And maybe there's nothing. Noticing that as well. As you're ready, we will rise back up onto tabletop, tuck the toes, inhale, exhale, find downward facing dog, maybe sway the hips or do something nice for yourself. And then return to plank pose. Inhaling, option to drop your left knee as we pivot into our side plank variation, reaching the right fingertips to the sky perhaps. Maybe it's available that you send your left leg long. Be sure that your hips are lifting up. Lots and lots of core engagement here. Looking down towards the ground might help you stabilize. Maybe looking in front of you, maybe up to the sky. And if it's available, or if you want to play, you might explore bending your right leg, finding it into a tree variation. Notice if you're breathing or holding your breath. 2 more. And moving slowly, return to plank. Inhale. Exhale, drop your knees. Find child's pose. Again, maybe you give your wrists a little massage love or draw circles with the hands. Maybe you just surrender and melt for a moment, noticing if your heart is beating more profoundly than it was a few minutes ago. As you're ready, plant your hands, rise up, tuck your toes, inhale and exhale to downward facing dog. Then walk yourself to the top of the mat. On an inhale, lift halfway, long spine. And on an exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, reach to the sky. Exhale your hands to your heart. Pause here. Feel your feet connected to the ground. Start particularly noticing your right foot, how it connects to the earth, how it meets the earth. And here you might float the left foot off of the ground. Imagine your right gluteal muscles hugging into the midline. Core hugs to the midline. Everything is hugging to the center. And perhaps you hug your left knee towards your chest. And then perhaps you open your left thigh to the left side, finding Vrikshasana, tree pose. Remembering that you can put the left foot anywhere on the body except for the knee, please. Maybe that means today your left toes are on the ground and your heel meets the ankle like a kickstand. Wherever you are, can you lengthen your low back and maybe press your hips forward ever so slightly? And maybe you've released your hands, grown your branches. One more breath. And from whichever expression of tree pose you took, we'll slowly release it. Return to Tadasana, mountain pose. And notice the ground under your left foot. Slowly, we start to transfer the weight into the left leg. Left gluteal muscles hug to the midline. Perhaps we're able to float the right knee up towards our chest, hugging it in, and then opening it out wide, setting the right foot anywhere on the left leg except for the knee. Lengthen the low back. Imagine perhaps pressing the hips forward a bit. Lifted heart, lifted crown, steady breath. Do whatever helps you with your arms. And as we stay for another cycle or two, notice if you can what's happening with your left toes. If they are gripping the mat, totally normal. See if you can try to lighten them up, maybe even lifting the toes off of the mat. Breathe. And slowly release the posture, floating your foot and arms back down. Inhale to reach out and up. Exhale, fold forward. Sink your hips and roll all the way onto your back. Legs and arms long. Let yourself arrive heavy, settled, or settling. Who you are tomorrow begins with what you do today. Both our actions and our thoughts, our words to ourselves and to others accumulate. What trajectory are you on? Who you are tomorrow begins with what you do today. Linger in Shavasana if you have time. Otherwise, we'll make our way back to an easy seat as you're ready. You may take a stretch before you rise up. And when you arrive, sit tall. We'll close practice by chanting Om if you'd like. Hands together in front of your heart. Big inhale for a big vibration. Thank you for sharing your practice.